for joining me again at Urban Flower Collective. My name's Lisa, I'm your host here. I hope you enjoy this next video. It's one from the archives, so I just thought I'd do a little introduction here. If you need an equipment list and a step-by-step instruction guide and a template for the petals, then please click on the show notes and download the PDF, and all the information's in there for you. Remember to hit the subscribe button and you'll be first to see all the new material. And if you need any help with this flower or any of the other flowers, then please come and join us at Urban Flower Collective. We'd love to see you there. You can ask any questions about anything to do with sugar flowers over there. It's a really nice, friendly little group. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I look forward to seeing the flowers that you make from it. Please tag me in, hashtag Urban Flower Collective if you make any, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. The flower paste I'm using, the modelling paste, is my favourite, ultra fine. I just find this works well for me. I like the way it dries, I like the way it doesn't kind of give into humidity, and that's my favourite. But you know, you use whatever flower paste you like to use. There's so many out there on the market, and you just try and see what's right for your climate. But for me, I love this. So as I say, I'm using white, and I've just coloured it with some gooseberry. So this is a very pale, I've already coloured this, it's a very, very pale green. This is a bit sticky, then you can put some corn flour on your fingers, or a little bit of shortening, like Crisco or Trex, but this one seems pretty fine. Now, if you've been in my other sugar flower classes before, you'll know that I love a pasta machine to roll out my flower paste really nice and fine. But for this flower, you don't need that because they're quite a fleshy, quite a thick petal. So a little rolling pin will do the job just fine. So as I say, these are quite an easy thing to make. And once you get a hang of doing one of them, you know, you can adapt it and you can apply it to whatever colours you've got. So you know, these techniques can be used over and over again on different cutters. So just have a look at inspiration pictures of succulents on Instagram and on Pinterest, and see what fabulous colours there are, and see what lovely shapes there are, and see what you've got in your cutter sets that will mimic those succulents. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I need it to be quite fleshy, just to give it that nice look. So you can see it's probably about between 1 and 2 millimeters thick. So just for speed, I'm not going to cut everyone out, I'm going to do one of each. So as you can see, this is a proper succulent cutter set. It does look a bit like an anemone petal. So you know, if you've got an anemone set that's got 4 or 5 petals in there, you could use that. But I'm going to go for this. So first off, this tiny, tiny little one, I want 4 of these. Go to the next size, and I'm going to have 6 of those. Then onto my third size, again, I'm going to have 6 of those. Fourth size, I'm going to go up to 8. Now, you can use more or less of these if you want, but I just find this gives quite a nice size succulent, and it gives me the look I'm after. If you want to put more on, then you go for it. And then I'm on to number 5, and I'm going to go for 8 of those. So next, what we're going to do is take our petal pad and a ball tool. And this isn't a fine or a frilly flower by any standard, so we need to keep it nice and fleshy, but I just don't like that cut look. So I want to make the edges a little bit thinner. So I'm not going to frill it or anything, I'm just going to run a ball tool around the sides. Now this tiny one is a right little tricky thing. So you can see I've just run the ball tool around the sides to thin it out and give it a bit more interest, give it a bit more shape. Same on that side. Now this bottom bit we're leaving very, very fleshy. We're not going to touch that at all because that's where we're going to insert the wire in the next stage. So there we go. So you can see I'm not frilling this up at all, I'm just running around the sides. The same for the last one. This is the largest. I'm going to take our 24 gauge wire. So we'll just cut this. I find because these are pretty small petals, I can get 5 out of one piece. So I'm just going to cut this into 5. Now, taking some either edible glue or egg white. I like to use egg white, but obviously if you're vegan or if you are egg intolerant or have your clients who are, then use edible glue. I just use egg white for ease because it's super accessible. You know, everyone's got egg white in their kitchen. So just dip the wire in, and then holding the petal between your 2 fingers, we're just going to insert this wire into the chunky end. Like so, just give it a little nip at the bottom. And we're going to do that for every size. So obviously you'd probably go for your smallest petals first, then onto your next largest size, then your next, and just do them in order. But I'm just showing you for each petal here. So you can see it slides in easily, and because it's a nice chunkier petal, you can't see the wire at all. Next, we're going to take a Dresden tool and just taking the sharper end. I think I'm actually going to do it on sponge rather than this. I'm going to do it on a spongier mat. So this is just some dimple foam, and I'm going to do it on the foam side, just so I get more of a curve. So I'm going to take the Dresden tool and just roll it around the sides like that, and then I'm going to nip the end and just turn it in a little bit, so you can see that's the shape we're after. And I'm going to do that for all of them. So Dresden tool just around the 2 sides, just to curl the sides in a little bit. I'm going to nip the end to make it nice and pointy, a bit like a spade, isn't it? Now we're going to need to leave these to dry. I've just got one of these silicone chocolate moulds. You can use whatever kind of mould you have to shape these. We just want a little bit of a curve at the top. I'm not going to push the whole thing in. As you can see, I'm just going to pop the top part in to curve a little bit and leave the bottom bit sticking out. Petals. Now, once they've started to take hold, these are some I've just dried earlier. These have been in the shaper for probably about 5 minutes. So by the time you've done the smallest ones, the next set, pop them in, and when you get on to about the 3rd set, the first set will be starting to hold their shape. Then you can take them out and just let them air dry after that. So they've got a little bit of a curve, but not much. That's the shape we're looking for this particular succulent. Now that our petals have dried really nicely, I'm going to show you how to dust them up. So I would suggest maybe leaving if you don't have a dehydrator, then leave these petals overnight because they are quite thick. So they'll take a little bit longer to dry than your normal petals on more delicate flowers. But if you've got a dehydrator, pop them in there. And once they're nice and firm and dry, then they're ready to dust up. So let's get started. So I'm going to try not to mess up my mat too much. So I'm going to use this paper towel. So you can use whatever paper, kitchen roll, greaseproof paper, whatever you've got handy. So you can see I've got one of each size here, and I've looked at inspiration on the internet, and I've looked at what I want to do. So I'm going to go for a very dark green, a yellowy green, a paler green, and then my favourite aubergine. So let me get my brushes and let's get cracking. So on the inspiration that I've seen, the base of the flowers are a little bit more yellowy. So I'm going to start off with this colour first. So I'm going to go for this. This is Fractal Green, Fractal Colours Gooseberry Green. And you can see it's sort of a yellowy greeny colour. I'm going to put a bit in the lid, dab on there because I don't want too much of this on. So just dab it off your brush. You can put more on, but you can't take it away once it's on there. So I'm just going to start by gently brushing the base of this and on the back as well. So next I'm going to go for the kind of mid-green colour, and this is, again, it's a Fractal Colours Green Apple. But you know, don't you play around with colours, you use whatever colours you think are going to go well with the cake you're making, with the colour scheme you've got, or from the inspiration photos you've seen. So I'm not going to put this on uniform because a lot of the photographs I looked at were not uniform at all. So I'm going to do this on a slant, and you can see I've just blended it in to the lighter green. This next one, where I'm going to go for this is a moss green, it's Rainbow Dust Moss Green, and this is quite a dark green. We'll see how this goes. Again, with this one, less is more. It's best to build up your colour rather than put a big dollop on there. You want it to look as sort of organic and natural as possible. You don't want it on in big clumps. That's all my greens done. I'm just going to do the tips and the edges now with aubergine, and again it's a Rainbow Dust aubergine, and this is what really makes them pop up in my opinion. So just, again, less is more, just knock it on the sides and on your tips. So if you can see the action I'm using here, I'm not brushing it on, just kind of knocking it up against the side of the petal. So now you can see we've got all our petals dusted up here. I hope your fingers got as messy as me. I'm all nice and clean again now. So let's start taping it up. So I've decided I'm going to use half width tape for this because there are a lot of petals here and I think it's going to get a little bit bulky if I use full width. If all you've got is full width tape, then just cut it with some scissors down the middle and you'll get this nice thin half width tape. Now I'm just going to take my needle nose pliers and I'm just going to just turn these back a little bit, just at about that kind of angle, just for my smallest petals for the centre. Now I'm going to put 3 together, like this. So you can see how I've got those. And I'm going to start to tape. Now we'll see if they twiddle around a bit. So if you haven't used florist tape before, give it a good pull, a good stretch, and start to tape fairly tightly and it will stick to itself. You don't need to use them all. You know, if you feel it looks nice and symmetrical, then leave it. It's no when to stop sometimes. And because I've made them, I am putting them all on. There we go, that's our last one. So it is a little bulky, but that's fine. Just make sure, so for something like this, I would use a poly dowel rather than a posy pick to pop it in the cake with, or a straw, a food safe straw, because the width of that is a little bit bigger. So you can trim it down if you like. I'm just going to give this a chop off here, but I'll show you. So you can see it's fairly thick. Let me get it under here at this bit, but that will fit nicely into a straw. So that is our first succulent. I think it's something pretty nice. I'm going to go off and steam it. You can just hold it over the kettle, or you can use your steamer. I'm going to give it a little spray glaze, and that will go on the cake that I'm making for this weekend. And I shall see you back here soon.